He apparently predicted how many idiots there would be around.
Hello and welcome to episode number 46 of Unrelenting for Friday, October 14th, 2022. I am Darren O'Neill, and if we fuck it all up, we'll just fix it in the post, Gene.
Well, I mean, I know you're kind of lazy to do that, but you could.
We got filters. It does everything. It's magic.
It's all stuff. You know, I probably should install Audition at some point.
It works fairly well.
I pay for the frickin' subscription. I don't even have it installed.
Well, then you should definitely install it. I still want to know, and maybe they'll eventually get to it. I still want to know why I have to take the audio file that I record in Audition and move it to Premiere in order to get a transcript. It's like they're still living.
That is so weird.
I know.
Yeah.
They're like living decade ago where you didn't need the transcription for audio things.
Mm-hmm.
And their whole system does it, so it's like it doesn't make sense. Let me just push one button after the show's recorded.
Well, have you emailed them about this?
No, I should. I know. I like to complain on a podcast. It sounds way better, and it gives us content.
Probably. So how have you been?
Been good, and you sound good. I mean, you can tell you're on a better mic today. You're home base.
I am home indeed.
It is nice and cool in here. I actually had to turn the heat on briefly this morning.
Oh, my gosh.
But it seems like it's dropped back and down into the house now to like 62 degrees. So, you know, that's fine with me. I like it cold, or you're the opposite because you've got your reptiles. So you got to be warm. So it's like the yin and yang.
You know, it's funny. When I was in Mexico, I'm pretty sure that I was in the colder hotel room than my house.
Well, when I go on vacation, that's like a must. Even when we were in Ireland, that was the surprise that there were a few of the hotels didn't even have air conditioning.
None of them had them when I was in Ireland.
Now, there were rooms at the Clarence in Dublin that had them and some that didn't. That is a boutique hotel that Bono and The Edge bought like a decade ago and totally brought it back to life. And it's a beautiful hotel. Even if you hate U2, it is a beautiful hotel.
I can't remember where I stayed when I was in Dublin, but I know it was only like within 2 blocks of Temple Bar.
That's where we were. Right. This was right on Temple Bar. You walked out the back of the Clarence and you were right there. And which meant it was a little bit rowdy and noisy at night, but I didn't really kiss you. Now, if you have a good time in Dublin, you're not going to remember a lot of the fun you had in Dublin.
No. I just remember we didn't eat the first 2 days because we were drinking.
You know, they will serve you food with your alcohol.
It seemed like a waste.
Why would you want to ruin a perfectly good buzz with food?
Oh, the good old days. Talking about that, having not taken a drink for a year.
I know. I was going to say, now you're in Mexico where most people go in order to get inebriated.
Dude, they were pissed off at me because obviously the...
Would you like a drink, sir? Would you like a drink, sir?
You know, the tips that they get from the froofy drinks are a lot higher than non-alcoholic beverages.
I would imagine.
So I actually had to start. Well, 2 things happened. One is after the first 2 days, the hotel staff started charging me for every iced tea individually.
So they knew you.
They figured out that I drink a lot of them, and free refills are, you know, they're like, oh yeah, that's how we do it here. And then I also started tipping more so they would actually get better service. But my bill for just iced tea for the week came to, I wrote this down. Let me look it up real quick.
So this must have been
it was a lot.
Number if you
it was a lot. Yeah, exactly. So for the iced tea, it came to 3,850 pesos.
Okay, what is that in real money?
About 19-1 translation rate. It's about $400.
It's a lot of iced tea
for non-alcoholic iced teas.
Yeah, yeah, but just imagine if that was whiskey in Ireland, how much that would have cost.
About the same.
That was the place I ever spent the most on one drink was in Ireland. I mean, just the overall drinks were expensive. Well, not just if you're having a Bud Light or something, but
Bud Light.
There was the bar at the time in the Clarence was called the Octagon Bar. I think that's gone now. I think they've redone it. But they had a drink on the menu that was like a purple passion or something that their bartender had won some award at something for the drink. And it was like, €19, which I've had worse things. This is going back 2009. So, again, we're going back a little bit, but we were in.
At the current exchange rate, that's like $10,
right?
But,
which is great. Now is the time to go get drunk in Ireland, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I forget what city we were in because we were with following
the Ring of Karen.
Was right in that area for this particular one, and I was working for a country music artist who was touring Ireland. So we were there, and there were a bunch of country music artists that were, and I guess that the day before we were at this particular hotel / venue that Randy Travis and his band, the Randy Travis Band, were at this hotel and venue and drank them out of a lot of the whiskey, which I'm like, now that,
nice.
If you can drink an Irish hotel out of the whiskey, that's pretty impressive. But I went up and
right? that is pretty impressive.
Try to wrap your brain around that. And I went up to the, and it was like in the little bar in the lobby area. Everybody's mulling around. I went up.
We might have talked about this in the past. What was your favorite city in Ireland?
Favorite city? It's hard because one, Dublin and Belfast are fun if you like to be in the bars and the hustle and bustle, and there's a lot of music going on. But I'm more of that's fun. I'm more of the introvert who it's like just being out in the middle of nowhere. And there's a lot of, once you get out of the big cities, just beautiful scenery in Ireland. And it's very relaxing. If your room doesn't get overrun by spiders, even better. But it's a beautiful country.
A lot of sheep out there.
Yeah. If you need those, for eating or whatever.
Well, they manicure everybody's lawns. It's perfect.
Well, right. You do not need to be fair. I didn't see anybody mowing lawns when I was out there.
No, you don't mow lawns. You have real life lawnmowers. That's what you do.
You throw them out there, then you shear the sheep. If you want the wool, you can have a little bit of mutton.
I thought it was really cool because I've been around sheep and stuff, but I've never been in a country that is just chock full of sheep. Yeah, so I haven't been to. I went to Ireland. I hadn't been to New Zealand in time. So, when you look at them, they're all stationary. Like they're not walking around; they're just standing and chewing. And if you glance at them, you never catch one actually walking. But if you watch one for about 3, 4, 5 minutes, you can see that after it kind of eats the grass in front of its nose, it'll take like half a step forward. And it'll start eating there, and then it'll finish that about a minute or two later, and then it'll take another half step forward. So they're just continuous, slow lawn mowers that poop out fertilizer.
But they seem efficient.
Oh, I think they're super efficient. The sheep, it mows your lawn, it fertilizes your lawn, it generates sweaters,
right? Clothing,
and you can eat it. You can make soup out of it,
right? If you really get hungry, you put it in a pot, and you got everything good.
Yeah. It's just like it's a full product life cycle animal.
So I enjoyed both parts of the life in Ireland, which is, I think kind of
the city life and the country life.
Yeah, which is kind of the same as
I like Galway. Galway was my favorite city on the whole trip.
Why? What made that stand out?
It's super quaint. It's very cute, and it seemed like a Hollywood set of Ireland.
Right. And that's why I'm sure Steve Earle wrote that song Galway Girl, which has become a Irish traditional song, which is interesting to me. That's like, okay, some guy from, I believe, I don't know if he was born in Texas, but obviously very American.
Yeah.
The Irish don't care who writes the music. Almost every band, if you go to Ireland, if you're in Ireland right now, ask a band to play, or any busker to play that song, and they know it. Don't matter that Steve Earle wrote it, that crazy American. Mm-hmm. But you're right, it is very picturesque. And it's nice to have that kind of history, because coming from, ugly American, growing up in a suburb of Chicago and, knowing mainly that and downtown Chicago, which, now you can just get stabbed thinking about downtown Chicago. Mm-hmm. Going to Ireland, it was very interesting to these buildings are hundreds, if not thousands of years old, and the structures there. And you have to get very used to the fact that the roads, not very wide, not really meant.
Oh, God. Yeah. They're like a small car basically has enough room.
Yeah. There's lines down the middle, but your car doesn't fit on your side of the.
It really doesn't. And it's amazing to see these buses going through there. It's like, what the hell?
Those drivers deserve hazard pay for where they get those vehicles. And it didn't help. I think I've told the story before that we had a Land Rover, a Range Rover, whichever one's bigger.
Yeah, that's way too big.
And that was not fun to try to get around a lot of the areas in Ireland, which is why we ended up, backing it into something once. But that's okay. We had the insurance. We had the insurance, and we were not drinking that time. So there's good.
I think we had a Fiat.
See, that's a little smaller.
Yeah, it's as much as a stick. And I wasn't even surprised, I guess, that much, but I was pleasantly happy that my assumptions were correct. Let's put it that way. That it really only took about 10 minutes of driving to get used to having stick on the left side.
See, that would be weird. It's you mainly want to remember not to turn into traffic.
Well, I think it's interesting because it's not a mirror move, right? So the first is still in the same place that it is for right-hand stick.
Right. Well, for that, I'm just talking about when you're turning the car.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I got used to it really fast. I've driven in countries that have right-hand drive quite a bit, actually. And I've never had an issue adjusting to it. But that Irish trip was one of the first times where I was driving for a solid week in an environment like that. And I literally 10 minutes. I don't think I ever confused the wrong lane. I didn't make any of the TV show mistakes where you're pulling into the wrong lane. It was just, everything is green outside. There's sheep walking around. All the girls have red hair. I'm like, yep, this is a country where you drive on the left side.
I like this.
Yeah. No, I did like it. I was not a huge fan of the cold, wet weather in the middle of summer. But,
yeah, it was 80 when we were there, so it was weird. It was in the
80s. That is really weird. I was there in May, so late May. It might have even been first week of June, so it was early summer, but it was still like a high of maybe 68 degrees.
That's perfect.
And a low of like 55.
Which is why they don't normally need air conditioning.
And everybody's wearing sweaters where, I think I brought shorts as well as pants, but I never put the shorts on. It was never warm enough.
It was when we were there.
Yeah. That's unusual.
That's what everybody told us. This isn't how the weather normally is. So I didn't get the full Irish experience. I need to go back.
What year you were there? 2000?
I think it was 2009.
I was there in 1999.
Well, it's okay. So we're due. We're due for a trip.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind going back to Ireland, but I would probably prefer to do Scotland because that's also on my list that I haven't done yet.
We could do both.
Because, I hear it's also, there's a lot of sheep there too.
You'd like to go places with the sheep. I get it. Is the new hypersonic planes?
The lawns are so well manicured. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, once the new hypersonic planes are ready, then you could just get us tickets.
Go directly there.
Pop right on.
Oh, we could look for see if anybody listens to us in that part of the world that can help us make that trip a reality.
It would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
On the road with Unrelenting. And make sure you have enough.
Gotta wait till I start drinking again, though.
Well, that would make it a more expensive trip.
Well, it's a more fun trip.
This is true. At the time, the dollar was not doing very well against the euro, unlike now. And I may mess up the numbers a little bit, but I went up in this hotel to the bar to order I think I wanted just 2 double Black Bush, which is Bushmills. It's a little bit of a smokier flavor, but it's about as far as the cost goes, it's about equivalent to a regular, cheaper end of the Bushmills. And that's when the guy looked at me and said, nope, sorry, Randy Travis is banned. Pretty much, we're out of that. We don't have this. He's like, all we have is the 16-year-old Bushmills. And then he just kind of looked at me, and I'm just like, okay, well, give me 2 doubles of that. And that ended up being like 48 euros each, which at the time was probably like $75 a piece.
That's a little on the expensive side.
It was, but by the time you drink them, didn't really care.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
A good time was had by all.
For that kind of money, you could get some really nice whiskey.
Yes, in a bottle. Not sure.
Yeah, exactly, in the bottle. Yeah. $75 a bottle is about where you get into the nicer whiskeys.
Yes. I mean, you've got your 20 to 35 or your low end.
Yeah, I wouldn't drink anything like that.
No, not unless you're mixing it with something.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to put it into, mix it with tea or something, make a hot toddy or something, yeah, sure. But if you want to actually appreciate the flavor, the cheaper ones, it's like going to McDonald's and pretending it's food.
To be fair, there are some.
It's mostly plastic.
There are more. Well, everything McDonald's is, but there are more decent low-end Irish whiskeys, I believe. It may just be because I'm an Irish whiskey fan and like that more, but I found that more of the cheaper Irish whiskeys are palatable than like the cheaper bourbons.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That you have a higher chance that it's not going to be like, ooh, this is not good at all. I mean, they're not great, but they're very palatable compared to a real cheap bourbon.
I could see that. The bourbons typically import their barrels, and that ain't cheap.
Well, right, because there's laws that, you can only use them once, and then there's a lot of very strange ways to making whiskey, which I'm fascinated with.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, those guys that created a career on just talking about whiskey. Those guys are geniuses.
I do. Yeah. Yeah, and then in fact I had to cancel my level 3 whiskey sommelier class this year because I'm not drinking.
That does kind of kill the whole thing.
It gets in the way of taking the class, man.
Because they want you to drink the stuff.
Because you're supposed to be by level 3 identifying specific bottles by smell and taste.
Interesting. I mean, how?
And I was like, I'm nowhere near that right now. I'm out of practice.
Like, how detailed is that? I mean,
at level 2, you're basically identifying regions and some brands, but at level 3, you're supposed to identify the actual whiskeys.
That's pretty hardcore.
It is. Yeah. Well, I've done this for fun for many years. I was went to bartender school. I got licensed like 25 years ago, and always thought it'd be fun to open my own bar.
Until you
never did that.
So how much money they lose?
Oh, they always lose money. Yeah. So I just built up a large collection of alcohol at home. So
which is just as good.
Yeah, I could make virtually any drink at home. I historically have had over 100 bottles of different varieties of alcohol.
I mainly have Irish whiskey, but I bet there's a good 50 different Irish whiskey bottles unopened in the basement here.
There you go. That's pretty good.
So we're ready for a party.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was going to say is I was mostly just doing that when I was hosting parties. Not, I can't say I've never drank alone, but the stuff that I would drink outside of a event is typically stuff that is much lower alcohol level and other people don't really like. Like my go-to drink was cranberry schnapps.
Okay, I can see why people might run the other way.
People use as a mixer, but I just like the way it tastes, so I just drink it straight.
That's a very strange drink to to just sit around and sip on. I'll give you that.
It is. It's like cranberry schnapps on ice was like my go-to for years.
And
Probably
do people
like over a
always
decade.
look at you funny when the big burly guy with the big
Well, no.
beard comes up?
I'm drinking it at home. I don't order it. So nobody ever has it. First of all, you can't get it. Nobody ever has it anywhere. I'd have to special order it for the house. But I guess it's more than beer, but it's a relatively cheap drink.
That would make sense.
Yeah. And I've never gotten into beer. I've had friends that have been very beer centric types. And, craft beers, make your own beer at home and stuff. And I don't mind beer, but it's probably like 8th or 9th on my list of things I would actually order.
Oh, I'm exactly the same. I've ordered, obviously I drank Guinness and some Murphy's when I was in Ireland. But here, it's very rare that I'll go out and order a beer. Almost never.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't drink beer at home. It's not like we have a big fridge stocked or anything. It's like whiskey. That's what it was meant for. It's easier to store. It doesn't go bad.
It is. I guess beer can still go bad. It's low enough alcohol content. And then I like if I'm traveling and I don't even know if it's true anymore. Let's say 20 years ago, if I was traveling in Central America or, any countries down south, let's say, where it's safer to drink the beer than the water.
Right.
I would certainly do that. But I don't know if that's even a thing anymore. I think water quality has improved across the world.
So you had your bartending license. Did you ever get a podcasting license?
I think so. I don't know that I ever printed it out or anything, but I think I got it.
Adam Curry should have bestowed one upon you
back
at some
in
point.
the day. Well, he did. You just pay money for it.
Right.
It's not hard.
It's all
there was
a scam
no,
too.
There was no test. There was no test.
There should be at least a test.
I agree. I think there should be a test. It's like, which end of the mic do you talk into?
Some people would fail at that, especially with the
guarantee you, like
microphone.
3 to 4% of the people would.
They're like, I thought you were supposed to point the microphone over there and then talk into this end over here and not get close enough to the microphone.
So I've already done 2 podcasts this week.
Oh, is that all?
This one today, and then of course my Saturday one tomorrow with Ben. So I'll have 4 this week.
Is that all?
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to catch up to you.
I know. There have been days recently where I'm like, maybe I'll just skip a few shows here. And I'm just thinking it would be nice at some point to just have a full week off. And it's not like it's work. It is, but it's not.
Well, let me know. I can take one of the spots as a guest person in your stead. As not the music one though, obviously that you're very specific on. People would start rebelling if I start playing like classical and jazz music,
Russian symphonic music. I don't even.
Well, there is a lot of good stuff there. The symphonic Russian music is pretty good,
but it is a daily thing. It's like it's
your job, man. It's your unpaid job,
right? Well, that's it, and it was
slightly paid,
exactly. And that's the deal. It's like, well, things were all moving in the right direction up until about the last, 6 months or so.
What does that coincide with?
Let's see.
NATO declaring war. That's right.
NATO declaring war. Also, the latest numbers as far as inflation. I don't have them in front of me, but it was for the things people buy the most, your eggs and all that. It's like, it's amazing that these staples that people buy are up like 20, 50, 100% from a year ago.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. From a year ago, you're absolutely right. The Shadow States stats using the old 1990s, 1980s formula shows, I think, 24%. But that includes a bunch of stuff that's only gone up a little bit. That lowers the average down to 24%. But you think about it, like how many countries in the world have a 24% inflation? Let's see, Venezuela,
that went really
Iran, I mean, South Korea or North Korea. Sorry, I guess I can't keep track. Our vice president confused me. One of the Koreas, whichever one is not our friend.
Right.
It's like
changes.
We're in really poor company in terms of managing economies. We've got basically a second world, if not a third world economy right now.
That's about right. And it doesn't seem to be getting better. And that everything they're doing, they're either incompetent or they're trying to make it worse.
I'll tell you, the only thing that hasn't really hit and equalized us to what I remember from the 70s from Jimmy Carter's administration is the 15% interest rates for housing loans.
Right.
Once we get to that point, when the prime is up to like 13, 14 points, it will have completely surpassed the next closest worst economic time in the U.S. was Jimmy Carter.
And it's still rising. The mortgage rates are a little over 7 now, right about 7, I think.
I guess. I completely missed the whole low mortgage thing. I think when I bought my last house back in 2006 or something, the interest rates were about 7%.
Yeah, that's not good. Not good.
And then, which was pretty damn good compared to the past. And then the crash happened, and I'm like, fuck this housing bullshit. I'm just going to rent for a while.
How'd that work out?
Well, it worked out great. I mean, I kind of like having a payment that's fixed.
No,
I think it worked out good for everybody. It worked out good for the guy that owns the house I live in too, because he's basically gotten a free house.
Right, it's a constant revenue stream.
I've paid for the house. Yeah, no, I've completely paid off his loan at this point.
We have a mortgage, but when we got our mortgage, it was only like 3 point something, low threes, which it's like every time you're like, well, should I put more money to pay off the mortgage? The financial guys are
as long as you have no other loans,
right?
So pay everything else off first. Yeah,
no credit cards.
My sister's really big into that whole thing. She's like the master of refinancing and squeezing every dime out of everything, and
look at
like a credit score of 850. Yeah. No, she has the highest credit score of anybody ever known. It's literally like 850.
Nice.
And she is, and she's not like super rich. She's just done a great job managing money.
Well, yeah, you don't have to be super rich to understand how to manage your money and not overspend. A lot of people overspend and they get into it. It was very easy to do when I got married. This was going back to 1995. It was, you got a townhouse and then you're buying furniture and you're putting everything on a credit card. Oh, it's 0% for whatever. And that stuff catches up to you very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure most people are thinking, 6 months, I can pay it off in 6 months.
Yep.
Yeah, the hell you can.
Well, that's how they get you. But that's why it's kind of even more nefarious now. I've seen some of these places doing 0% for 24 months. And it's like, by that time, you're not going to want the stuff that you're still paying off that is on there. But I think everybody has to go through that at least once to go through that. Oh, I really need to belt tighten.
And how many people just took that offer and bought Bitcoin?
Well, the people that took their house that was paid for and mortgaged it out then and then put all that money into
bought the Bitcoins
at 65 and are now going, what the hell happened? I mean, I know I bought, I took some of my podcast earnings. It's the only time I've ever bought crypto. Unlike you, I know you buy a lot of crypto. Every week you put a little in.
I haven't. Yeah, $100. There's an auto buy for $100 that it's not even weekly. It's biweekly. Every 2 weeks, it buys $100 regardless of price. It's like it's minimal, but it averages out so that everything I bought when it was expensive now is getting diluted by all the cheap stuff.
Right, you're back to where you have not moved one way or the other.
Mostly. Well, the funniest thing about it is looking at my my podcast related wallet, which has had the exact same amount of dollars in it now for 2 years.
Even though the Satoshis keep
going up. But the value is more than doubled
in
Bitcoin.
The Satoshis are going up. but the amount is going down.
But the US dollar conversion value of the wallet stayed virtually the same the whole time.
Yeah, that's what I did. I took 1,000 out of PayPal when Cardano was at $1, and I'm like, oh, it's going to the moon, baby. Now it's at 39 cents. I mean, it went up to like 240, which I should have sold and been like, this is a win. But no, no, it's a long-term thing. It's like you just put it in there and you forget about it. But yeah, this is the issue with being a partially paid podcaster, that there's only so much money out there. Not everybody can do what No Agenda's doing and find people. This week, there was somebody that came in, I think, with $3,000 again. It's like, holy crap. How does this happen? Where are they? You keep telling people not to donate. The person that'll donate $3,000 for one episode, tell them to donate, Gene. Tell them we would love to hear
I have
them.
sure. Yes. Please only donate if you're willing to donate $3,000 minimum.
Yes, there you go.
There you go.
This is a new concept for a podcast. It's like
minimal
high-end
donation.
whiskey.
I think it actually makes a lot of sense because the amount of administrative work that you need to deal with for these like less than $5 donations is not really worth it.
You need they're worth it if there are thousands of them.
Oh okay, but yes, but if there are thousands, you're not the one going to be doing them. You're going to have to pay somebody to do all the administrative stuff.
Yeah, I'll be going on Fiverr looking for somebody like, hey, can you...
Adam and John aren't the ones that are doing that.
No, they're just having all the fun.
Yeah, exactly.
We did just get a Boostagram.
So speaking of with some Adam, I'm supposed to head up and have dinner with them today.
Oh, interesting.
But that is contingent on my packages showing up from China. Oh,
you're getting your new gear.
It was supposed to show up yesterday. It didn't show up. It's supposed to show up today.
I just want to pimp your website. It's evilrussianprepper.com, I believe.
Evil Russian.
Or is it RU?
Now, watch somebody actually get that.
Yeah, that would be a great domain name.
That I probably shouldn't I? I haven't even thought of that. That's a great idea. Get it done, RU.
It would be awesome.
Armageddon.ru. Get your Armageddon supplies here now.
That would be perfect. All of this.
Until RU is blocked in the U.S.
Well,
with a great firewall of the U.S.
Because,
oh my God,
freedom and all. But
it's disinformation if it's not coming from the government. It's therefore disinformation ought to be banned. Everybody knows that. That has nothing to do with freedom. Freedom doesn't allow you to get disinformation. Don't you know that?
The PayPal thing with the misinformation bit, that was interesting. And I
was the first one that talked about that because as soon as I got the notice from PayPal, I went and read the full document.
You're like, whoa,
and I posted it. What?
You're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm like, this is really going far outside of what their service is providing. Why the hell is it here? So I posted it on the social. A few people commented, and then a week later, you had all the stories popping up on social, on the rest of the non-mainstream media. The rest of the media started talking about it, but it was like, I think whenever you get a notice that says we've updated our terms, you really ought to click on the damn link and read it, see what they're saying, because you don't know what they put in there. Remember that South Park episode where, the contract with Apple for the new phones allowed them to basically enslave you into a centipede or whatever?
Yeah, well, that sounds fair.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, you read the terms, right? That was on page 132.
Now,
you agreed to that.
Let me ask you this. Was this done intentionally?
Absolutely, 100%.
Now, was the reason, right where I go is to us, to No Agenda, to all of the podcasts and people that are posting on various social media forums that are using PayPal to take money. Yeah.
Here's their plan, and I think this is what drove it. Is their idea? It's like, look, we're going to have to keep deplatforming these people that are saying things we don't like. But every time you deplatform one of them, a new one pops up, and then so it's like, you're trying to shoot something that keeps reproducing really fast. What we need to do is come up with a way to discourage people from actually listening to them and sending them money. So yes, we're going to deplatform them, but we're also going to charge $2,500 as a fine to anybody that dares to send any money to these people.
See, that's exactly what I took from this.
That's what they did.
They got tired of playing the whack-a-mole game.
Yeah, exactly right.
Of deplatforming the individuals.
Mm-hmm.
This is very much like the RIAA could put you in jail for 100 years.
Yep.
It is the threat which instantaneously, and here's the thing. I still have a PayPal account because we use it. Mm-hmm. But every penny that was in my PayPal account, gone. I took it and put it somewhere else. Now,
that's exactly what I did. And I also went, and I don't know if you saw my post on this. I posted it to Nogen Social, and I'd recommend everybody do this. If you don't want to close your account, don't close it. If you don't mind, close your account. But if you don't want to close it, here's what I did, because I didn't close my account. I just moved all the money out. I went to the PayPal help site, the support site, and you can post questions in there. And a question I posted is, what's the fastest way for me to close all my business and personal accounts on PayPal before the new regulations hit, before the new terms of service start? And that's it. That's all you got to post, because the point of posting that is to let PayPal know what you're thinking. And that is enough. That will do sufficient enough damage and it did, and that got them to reverse in a heartbeat on that policy, because they started seeing a lot of people doing this type of activity, either closing their accounts, threatening to close their accounts, emptying their accounts.
Yes.
But, emptying the account is not enough, because those terms, the way they were written, would allow them to sweep the money out of the bank account that's connected to your account.
Yeah, but see, that's irrelevant, because that was only going to happen to a small amount of people, and the amount of people that took money out. This is relevant because this is where PayPal gets their worth. They're a bank.
Yes. Yeah.
So if they have, today, let's just make it easy and say, well, before this terms of service thing came out, let's just say PayPal had $1 billion in assets sitting in all the accounts combined. And this comes out in the next day, and they look and they're like, we're down to $500 million. Where did that money go? That's not good for their business. So anybody that did take the money, and I'm very lazy when it comes to this stuff, which is I leave the money in PayPal until I need to, pay out you and Bemrose,
pull something out.
Mary.
Right.
And
it's not quite true what you just said. PayPal functions somewhat as a bank, but that's not where they make their money.
Well, they make it.
They don't make their money by loaning it out to other people the way a traditional bank would.
But they do.
They make their money by charging a transaction fee on every transaction.
But they do.
They're
both.
More like a credit card company.
True, because they do offer loans and stuff like that as well, though. So they
do offer loans, but
it's not their main business.
The loan, the thing with the loan is a loan of $100 is worth a lot more to them than you keeping $100 in your PayPal account.
Oh, right.
Because that loan for $100 creates an asset for them that they can then replicate 8 times over.
And this is the other way I knew where the economy was going, because under Donald Trump, when I opened up a savings account, that at the time, I don't remember what the number was, but it was a decent introductory thing. But then, because it's all based on Prime, it kept going down and going down and going down.
Yeah.
It was well under 1%.
Oh, yeah.
It's like you may as well just put your money under your mattress at that point. But now under Joey, I think it's up to like 2.25%, 2.5% again.
You're kidding?
No,
really?
Yeah. You're like, there you
go. Because in Europe, I don't know if you remember,
but back, baby.
Back about my rubles are doing just fine. Back in maybe 5 years ago, the Germany in particular, but I think a few other European countries, were paying a negative interest rate on bank accounts. So if you kept your money in the bank, they would charge you money every year for keeping your money in a savings account.
Well, it's a convenience to put your money into an account.
Well, but not even. I mean, they literally just refer to it as a negative interest rate,
right,
because what they're finding is that they're not making anything off your money being in the bank. They prefer that you spent the money and then you needed more money because you spent the money you had. And then that is what actually makes them money, is you taking a loan out.
That sounds about right.
Loans are not tied to deposits. That's a misconception from people watching that movie. What was it? The Christmas Story or whatever with, what the hell's the actor name?
I don't know.
The Miracle on 34th Street or whatever.
Oh, we're going way back.
Yeah. Good. Well, that's, that was the movie with the bank repossessing stuff. And, it's like,
It's a Wonderful Life.
Maybe. I don't know. It's a black and white movie. It takes place at Christmas time.
Is there a Russian version?
Had Henry Fonda in it, I think.
It's the Russian version.
Every time you hear
life.
some kind of noise, an angel goes to heaven. There's some bullshit in there.
Sure.
I don't know. It's a Christmas movie. Whatever.
It's a Christmas movie. Yes.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people get their information on how banks work from watching movies.
Well, I think most people
and how banks actually work is banks do not need to take to have your cash accounts whatsoever. They make all their money just from loaning money.
Well, that
and they don't need your money in order to loan money out.
No, they need some money, but probably not your money.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. The way the current regulations are, you literally don't.
Doesn't even have to be real money.
Money is created out of thin air by making a loan.
That would sound like something that might cause
you loan somebody $100. Oh, you think?
Yeah.
You loan somebody $100, and that value of that loan is the value with interest. So by loaning $100, you just created an asset that's worth $110. So now the bank actually has more money after the loan than they did before the loan.
That sounds very confusing.
And then and then you make the loan against that asset, and you create even more money. I mean, that's how banks are the institutions in this country that actually create money. It's not the government. It's not the Fed. It's the individual banks.
It's not the guy with the really good money. Printer in his basement. Well, wait, might be. It might be him too.
No, because that printer prints a little W in yellow color along with the serial number of the printer itself. Remember, that's why you can't print money on printers, is because all the printers actually print in quote unquote invisible ink.
Yes.
To say that they're a printer.
And that's why you don't do it with a commercial printing machine. You actually have to know your stuff. Now, if you were a professional printer, if you had the gear, then you could print all the money you want. No,
you can't.
Sure, you could.
No.
I mean, you're going to get caught, but you can still print anything you want.
You would need to be a traditional lithography printer to be able to print
rubles?
Money.
Is that easier than printing dollars?
No, they have plastic, just like Canadian money in them. So
really?
No, you can't.
That's weird.
Yeah. Well, everybody, I think, except for the U.S., has moved to plastic money these days. Mexico has plastic money. I don't know if you remember that.
I just don't.
Had to utilize that, spread some Mexican money around, and it has a little clear window that is plastic in the money.
Still waiting for the United States to say, we're recalling all the dollars. You must convert them to digital by X. Otherwise, they're going to be worthless.
That convert the dollars to dollaros.
Right. Dollaroos. We have
a
boostagram from our buddy CSB who says he recommends the Irish beer Kilkenny.
Nope. No more reading CSB. No more reading any cheap donations. CSB, you want to send something that gets read on air? No ads. There's no CSB ads on the show. I'm calling it.
No CSB.
If you want to send something, you want to send real money, then it'll be read. None of this like 23 cents and you get to have some amount of our airtime used up for advertising. Fuck that shit.
But I've never tried Polish beer. Tyskie.
Polish beer is pretty good. I have not tried that beer, but Polish beer in general is very good.
I mean, they probably sell it here. I mean, I live in an area where there's a lot
you
of
live in
Irish
freaking. Well, you don't live in
Polish.
Chicago, as we've determined,
Right,
but you
outside
live
of
close
Chicago.
enough to Chicago to go buy some Polish beer. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Maybe the other day I ordered some pierogi. I mean, they were frozen, but to make it home, I need a nice Polish grandma that could.
Dude, how do you not? You should be able to get Polish food via Uber Eats.
Dude, I will never order from Uber Eats. Never.
Why?
Because I don't want people that I don't know carrying my food.
All right, give me your address. I'll order something for you right now on Uber Eats.
I don't want Uber Eats.
Here, just tell it to me while we're talking live. Go ahead.
I also don't like that they take like 30% from the restaurant. So
oh my God.
I have a real problem with the whole Uber Eats concept. I've never once ordered from Uber Eats, and I don't think I ever will.
There are individual restaurants that I've ordered more than 50 times from on Uber Eats.
Oh, I believe it.
All right, let me find Chicago here real quick.
Well, here we go. I got some Tyskie beer. I can get a case 12-pack for $9.99 at our local Binny's here.
Okay. I've not tried that beer, so I don't know.
It's good stuff. And then you should you definitely don't want to tell people then to go to csb.lol, the website, right?
Definitely not. No.
Okay.
csb.joker, I believe, is the actual site, but we're not going to.
I would buy that in a heartbeat.
You should buy it. It's up there. It exists. All right, I'm looking up Chicago.
I know there's a Polish restaurant. Probably about 25 minutes from here. There's a place that is good for Polish.
Oh
food.
my God! This is so stupid.
Which part?
They list all the cities by states first, so I have to click on the Illinois before clicking on Chicago. Okay, now I'm in Chicago, and what are we looking for? Polish, right?
Yeah, Polish food.
All right, let me. Ziggy's Kielbasa House. Does that sound Polish enough?
There is a Polish fusion cuisine here listed. Where are these? Yeah, no. And then it's funny because like on Yelp, when I do a search for Polish food, the number 4 thing that comes up is Chef Klaus's beer stew. It's like, no. That is German.
But not necessarily. Okay, so
I've been there. It's German.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
I've experienced this before where you go into a restaurant that the name of it clearly sounds some particular country, right?
And then you're totally wrong.
But what you realize is that the owner is actually from a different country. And so they just like that type of food. And so you'll end up with whatever the restaurant name sounds like food, but also food that the owner knows how to make, or, whoever. If it's a small enough place where the owner is involved in the menus. So I've one of my kind of quick and easy restaurants that I go to here, a buffet, all you can eat buffet. It's a Chinese buffet. Got a Chinese name. Can't remember what it is. Like Lucky something or other. Right. But the owners are Koreans. And so it's a Chinese buffet that has like 25% Korean food.
Barbecue, that'd be good stuff.
Yeah. It's got Korean barbecue every day. It's got a lot of Korean dishes and a lot of the kimchi appetizers, got all that stuff. So if you're going purely by name, you may be incorrect.
There is a Polish fusion cuisine about 20 minutes from here.
I generally don't like the fusion ones.
Yeah, I know. You want traditional.
Fusion, look, if you try the fusion and it tastes good, then it could become like a regular thing. But if you want something ethnic, you don't want to go with fusion. You want just the ethnic food.
I would agree.
That's my take on it anyway. But yeah, I haven't been to Chicago in years, but every time I've been to Chicago, I've stopped in and got some Polish food.
When do the warrants expire exactly, and when can we expect you back?
Well, Illinois, I have no problems with. I can't be in Wisconsin.
Well, who really wants to be in Wisconsin, though? That's the question.
That's a very good question. But yeah, Illinois, I don't have anything out there. I can be there at any time. I was there, a year ago. Remember I flew through?
Yes. On your private jet.
I spent a day at O'Hare, basically. Yeah, just outside of O'Hare in the hotel. And then got some pizza.
But probably not good pizza.
No, I got good pizza. I got deep dish. We talked about it.
Yeah, but I mean, really, is deep dish better than thin crust? I don't think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't believe that. I don't believe for a minute I'm a thin crust guy.
No.
Although I haven't had deep dish in...
Well, what's rattle off some deep dish places? I'll tell you which one I had.
There may have been 10 years since I've had deep dish. Giordano's is a big one.
That's the one I had.
That was the one. I think it was partially owned by like Michael Jordan's for a while.
Oh, I thought it was owned by General Mills.
You never know. But Giordano's, and then there's Lou Malnati's and Pizzeria Uno. And
Uno is the one that I used to, like when I went to Chicago, I'd stop at Uno or Due.
Which is double the fun.
Yeah. But that was back in days where you could walk around at night in downtown Chicago and smell the chocolates and be totally safe.
Those days are gone.
Yeah. I guess the chocolate factory closed.
I believe it did too. Somebody told us on a previous show that they had moved that. I mean, for a long time when we would drive to, Comiskey Park, let's not call it whatever the new crap is. We had to go by the Tootsie Roll factory, and that was another place that always smelled delightful driving by the Tootsie Roll factory, but I think that's long gone as well.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I could see that being...
I mean, as a kid, can you imagine living downwind of the Tootsie Roll factory? That would be the best thing ever.
Either that or you'd become immune to the smell, and it wouldn't do anything for you anymore.
True, you'd be like, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It is nothing to me at all.
But I don't know. I mean, I have very fond memories of Chicago and walking down Michigan Avenue in the middle of the night. Over by the water tower there.
It is going to go so horribly wrong. Come next year in July when NASCAR is trying to do a street race and see how bad it is.
That'll be fun. There is a documentary about that. I believe it's called Death Race 2000.
That's exactly
David Carradine is in that movie.
I mean, I think that's only fair. They really should. I mean, if you really want to have a street race, they should have them go up and down the Dan Ryan with the locals. Don't close it off.
Yeah, I think you're going to see it because what you're going to end up with is you're going to have BLM protesters walking around while the race is happening.
Holy shit, you're right. Not only are they going to be walking, they're going to get on the track. Oh my God, you're right.
Absolutely. They're totally going to get on the track.
And somebody's going to get killed because there's going to be somebody that's just going to get hit at like a...
Absolutely. Somebody's probably a driver. Have a brick thrown at them.
Wouldn't doubt that. But if somebody, I could just see a protester jumping into the track and it's those cars are going to run you right over.
It's risky enough having Formula One in Austin. The last thing you want to do is have it in Chicago.
No, I agree. I think this is a really bad idea, just mainly because of the fact that the amount of time it's going to take in order to create their temporary grandstands and their temporary luxury boxes. It's like this, it's not going to end well.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it's great. The visual, because they have the course. This all started because they digitized these streets and used them for a NASCAR e-racing, whatever they call the digital racing.
Yep.
And the visuals are beautiful. The city and the skyline in the background, or if you catch the lake on the other side with the cars zipping by. For television, it's going to be great, but it's going to be bad.
Navy Pier is going to have some good seats to that race.
You maybe get up on the Ferris wheel, and be able to see down.
Oh, dude, I'm sure they're going to put up some stands out there.
Oh, they are, and that's also I don't understand how good it can be with the luxury boxes, which are going to be elevated like 20, 30 feet up. It's like that sounds dangerous to me overall. They can barely
so the tickets. The F1 tickets here in Austin, a buddy of mine just sold his. He bought them and then realized he was traveling during that time. But they were going for $1,800 a seat.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's the new gig economy.
Yeah.
But you want to save, if you actually have ticket stubs, you want to save those.
Do you?
For everything. I was going through an old box of tickets because, well, my dad had a bunch of old baseball tickets. We realized some are actually worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I was just posting things randomly. And there was a John Mellencamp concert that I went to in college where he opened up for a small band, Material Issue. And it was an unannounced thing. But the ticket stub just said Material Issue, all ages show, Riviera, whatever it was, $10 for the show. And I remember going, it was great. John Cougar came out. I think this was very shortly after he had his heart attack. He comes out chain smoking and comes out and sings Honky Tonk Woman, the first song. Band just hitting it. And this is in a fairly small arena here. Very intimate. So it was awesome. But I'm like, well, you know what? I don't really want this, ticket stub. I'm trying to clear out a bunch of stuff. It doesn't even say John Cougar Mellencamp or anything on it. So I put it up on eBay for $49.95 and it's sold.
The fuck, man?
I know. If you have old ticket stubs, send them to me. That's just as good as cash right now.
Yeah. I recommend that because there might be people who have that. I don't know. And why would you keep one is my question. If I go to something, that gets thrown out before I get in the car.
Most people do. I'm a hoarder.
Yeah.
I mean, I learned it. From my dad who had a bunch of White Sox tickets, and I've been selling a couple for him on eBay as well. I'm like, look, here's what you want to look for. The, various big events, if things happen. And one of the things that people seem to collect are the first games, the first appearance.
That's insane.
Yeah, of a player that goes on to be in the Hall of Fame. So Ivan Rodriguez, Texas Ranger legend, played his first game here in Chicago back in 1991. Went on, now is in the Hall of Fame. I listed the ticket I asked a buddy of mine who is really big into the ticket market. I'm like, well, what should one of these tickets sell for Ivan Rodriguez's first game? He's like, well, depending on condition, $500 to $750. So I listed it on eBay at $999.99, and it was sold within an hour at $1,000.
That's insane.
Yes.
The people are literally buying somebody else's past.
Yeah. But I told my dad,
fucked up.
Finally, I understand why you saved all the ticket stubs.
Yeah, for all. He apparently predicted how many idiots there would be around.
Yeah. It is a nostalgia thing that people are getting into, I guess.
It's not, though, because they're not the ones that went to it.
I get that. But it is a piece of history. To me, does it make more sense to you or less than collecting a baseball card?
Neither makes sense to me.
Well, that would be true as well to me. But I get this, that it's limited. Most people did throw them out. So that kind of makes sense. But what people will pay for weird things.
Nuts.
Yeah. So if you have old ticket stubs laying around, again, look through those. You don't, obviously.
I don't.
But I'm like, okay, this is something which is great for my dad because he needs, something to do. Because otherwise he's just reading all day, which isn't bad to read all day.
That's not bad either. But he's got eyeballs.
Yes. And this has turned into kind of being a treasure hunt because you have this big bunch of things that you're otherwise, up until like 6 months or so, was like, well, I consider this just to be worthless. It was just stuff we had collected. Now it's like, wait, people are willing to pay big bucks for some of this?
That is crazy. I'm literally throwing away iPads and you're selling paper.
Yes. One ticket
for $1,000
from one game for $1,000, which I also have a second one to sell. So I will see what that goes for. Yeah. Yeah. I do all the work and he gets all the cash. It's a great system.
It is a great system.
But you don't know.
That works out quite well.
You never know what people are going to collect. You want the whiskeys that you can no longer get. Some people want tickets.
But I want them to drink them. I don't enjoy. Like what you're describing is somebody buying an empty bottle for as much as it used to cost with the whiskey.
This was exactly
why
my point for the 1991 season that ticket stub came from. I believe, it was at the face value, and I don't.
Well, sure as hell wasn't $1,000.
No. Well, the ticket face value was $13, and I believe at the time my parents were actually paying for the season tickets there, they were paying slightly less than face value because they were giving season ticket holders a break. I believe that the one ticket sold at the $1,000 would have paid for their whole year of the 1991 for that season. I'm like, see, who knew?
That's insane. Well, Biff knew.
Yeah, Biff came back in time.
Yep. That's how he made his fortune.
I mean, at least I look at things like record albums. You can enjoy them. You can play them. It's more than just looking at it.
Who the fuck is buying this shit, though? I mean, it's bad enough that there are people that are hoarding it by just not throwing it away. I can at least ascribe that to laziness.
Yeah.
But who the hell is buying that for the first time? And how much money do they have to throw away that they can buy a worthless, literally worthless piece of paper that they have no connection to, that somebody else used?
It is just...
I don't get it. Maybe somebody should start putting up used toilet paper on eBay. Maybe there's a market for it.
I mean, I've seen people do interesting things like the day they were born, they wanted to collect one ticket of, if this was during the baseball season, of every baseball game that occurred on the actual day of their birth, and they wanted a stub from every one of those to put in a frame. There's interesting things people are doing, but that still doesn't give them value. You keep
saying more and more things that are convincing me that maybe the globalists are right.
You may want to just go with annihilation.
Do a big fucking reset, just nuke the hell out of everything and go back to 500,000 people total population.
But really, what is a better place to put your money in? A ticket stub from 30 years ago, or the stock market, or crypto, or
gold would have been a much better money play.
I don't know. Gold even I saw was going down.
Gold was $35 an ounce back then.
Well, then would have been a much better deal. But we're talking about today. Where do you put your money today besides rubles? And even that ship is pretty much sailed, I think, to make money on the rubles.
I mean, it's the fast appreciation certainly has, but I don't know, man. It's tough. I mean, I where I'm putting my money is into radiation suits, but
well, to resell them.
Yeah, to resell them, exactly. But I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm not great at investment advice, so I don't even offer it. I occasionally will get lucky, but also occasionally completely stumble too. So
it all comes down to it's a wash. You could have just taken your money and put it in a jar, and it's about the same.
Well, no, I mean, I've generally made, but maybe that's true. But I mean, like, I had some really bad picks in my time. Like I lost $100,000 on 3Com.
Ouch.
Yeah, because I thought everybody else was an idiot because I see what this company's trying to do in Latin America, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're going to be huge. This is already at the point where they were kind of getting pushed out of the market in the U.S. And so I put a bunch of money in there, and then they just kept going down and down and down and down.
Like
until eventually, and I lost like $100,000 on that.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
It's watching Cardano go down and down and down.
It's just like that. Yes, you're right.
And I think that's in the 30-something cent range now.
Mm-hmm.
But I still see people like, well, long term, this is going to be $15 in 10 years. It's like, we'll see. There's no reason to take it out at this point. If it's going to just disappear, it'll disappear. But
yeah.
Murphy's Law otherwise says if I sell it off now, it'll
go up right away. I know. You ought to find somebody that believes the opposite than you, and then one of the two of you guys will make out like a bandit.
Right. This is the concept. Somebody's got to. It's the yin and yang. Somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to lose.
It's called arbitration.
Uh-huh.
So speaking of the world going to hell in a handbasket, I've got a prediction to make. Here is the thing you want to keep an eye out for.
Well,
that'll be a canary in the coal mine.
Yes.
Is when the garbage services start to not be happening.
You mean garbage pickup?
But when garbage pickup is delayed for any extended period. I don't mean like a day, but for an extended period of time, like a week or more, we have crossed over the Rubicon and there may not be a way to go back.
Why garbage services?
Because it's a non-essential essential service. It's an essential service that isn't going to kill anybody if it's not done, at least not for a while.
Well, yeah, there have been garbage strikes in New York for.
Yeah.
And then you're like, Everybody always wants more money. Nobody's being paid enough. Nobody is being appreciated enough.
Well, if inflation is 20% a year, then nobody is getting paid enough because you're literally making less money every year unless you're getting over 20% raise every year.
Well, this is why my wife decided to take a government job at exactly the right time.
I talked about that on my other podcast yesterday.
The whole cost of living increase is probably going to be quite massive.
Oh, yeah, year. I would imagine. Yeah.
Like, thanks, Uncle Joe.
Yeah. Keep printing more money.
Yeah. It's got to crash at some point. You just hope we're all dead by that point.
Well, that may come sooner than you think.
Well, it all depends if the nukes. That's why you need to get your radiation suit and your iodine pills from the angryrussianprepper.com.
Something like that.
When is the?
I'm completely not angry, by the way. So I don't know. That's not a good domain name.
But you need a shtick, and I think I can picture. We have some really good artists. I don't do the drawing. I'm a guerrilla artist,
collage artist.
Correct.
Yes.
Now, somebody like Mike Riley and Roger Roundy, they're true artists. I think Mike Riley could do a really great angry Russian dude. Why do you get this angry? There's no anger here, dude. You're thinking of your other host. No, but you want to be angry when it comes to selling.
No, you don't.
You do. You want to scare people. No, you know what scares people? Anger. Anger
does not scare people.
You don't want to be not at all. Docile Russian prepper because then people are like, I don't believe this guy. He's too calm. No, you want...
The end is nigh.
Right.
You're all going to be dead soon. It's all fine. Yeah, don't worry about it.
The delivery is way different from the end is nigh. We are all going to die. As compared to, oh my God, the end is nigh. We're all going to die.
Yeah, that guy I would not trust with spending any money from him.
Dude, you don't want people that are rational here. Your business is based completely on people that aren't all that rational.
Here's the irony: is I would agree with you in the past, right? But that anyone buying,
radiation
iodine pills like 10 years ago, radiation suits is like, what the fuck, man? Today, I think that's getting to be the rational thing to do.
Today, you're like, this seems perfectly rational.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I just just got a shipment yesterday of a bunch of Polish radiation suits.
Oh, what's the difference between those and the Russian ones? Just more fashionable?
They're left side, left-hand drive.
Left-hand drive. Nice. Makes perfect sense.
No, actually, well, I think they're NATO. I mean, but these just happen to come with instructions in Polish. So it's NATO, but it's. Do
you have to pay extra for the translated English instructions?
No, I can read Polish. That's fine.
So you'll just do it. You'll put your own little.
I'm pretty sure I'm okay with the instructions. Yes.
So what gear?
Yeah, these are not for resale. These are just stocking up for my personal.
Right. This is what you get for you and for Adam. So you guys are going to sit around in your radiation suits and try.
Yeah.
I want a picture of that so bad. You
the radiation suits
in radiation.
Oh yeah,
suits, sitting on a porch.
I think it'd be hilarious to see a picture of Adam in the gas mask smoking the
vape.
The vape thing. Yeah.
Can you do that through the gas mask? Is there a special Podfather addition to the gas mask that you can stick the vape cartridge in?
I don't think so, but there's got to be a way to do a funny picture with it.
Well, yeah, because what you just really need is not even you want to just build the vaping part into the mask.
Into the mask, right, exactly.
For the preppers who vape, this is a unique product nobody else has. You could make some money.
That's true. That might be worth a few bucks. Yeah, why would you not want to have a device that you can vape through a gas mask with?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, somebody makes those. Just cut us in.
Yeah. Totally. No, that's a great idea. I'll talk to my Chinese vendors.
And then let Gene know he'll sell those on his website, and it'll be great.
Uh-huh.
When is it starting? When is it opening?
Soon.
How is the process going with Amazon? Any more movement on how this is working?
So I'm just waiting on product.
Okay. So once you have product now, are you shipping stuff to Amazon?
Yeah, just shipping it all to Amazon.
Gotcha. So they're doing the heavy lifting.
Well, I'm doing the heavy lifting. They're doing the light lifting.
They're doing the delivery, the last mile.
The final disbursements. So
what percentage?
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Do we ever talk about this? What percentage does Amazon get if you sell a
they
product?
Get it's between 31 and 39%, depending on how much stuff they do.
Damn. So if they're shipping it and doing all this stuff, and they're actually having to touch it, then it's like towards the 39%.
Well, it's also depends on how much stuff they're storing and how fast it moves, and whether it's at all promoted on Amazon as a product. So there's a variety of factors that go into it. But
so
in general, I mean, this is not like 40 may sound like a lot, but it really isn't, because in the olden days, no, not really. In the olden days, if you went through a distributor, like if you're the manufacturer, you sell your shit to a distributor at about 40% off, and then he sells it to the, or I should say the other way. You sell it to distributor for 40%. No, how do I do it? Okay, let's start with the retail price. So the retail price, let's say it's $10. The store that's selling it in the physical store will at least make 35% on that. So 35 to 40% markup. And then they're buying it from a distributor who will then also make like a 25% markup. So really, the manufacturer has to sell it for about a quarter of the retail price to the distributor. So you better have all your margins built in there. So it depends on what kind of products you're selling, obviously. But like the last couple of companies that I've run, the cost of product is about 10% or less of the final sales price.
Seems about right. Now, will you also be selling these direct? So once people buy them on Amazon, they'll get the package and it'll say, jeanspreppers.com. And then if they want more, they can go back.
Let's come up with more domain names. Just keep confusing people for everything. Right? Yeah.
Oh, we'll stick with angryrussianprepper.com because that's my favorite.
Well, you'll be, I think, surprised to see what the real domain is going to be that I got.
SurgeonSpeaks.com.
Unrelenting.com.
Right. There you go.
Uh-huh.
It is unrelenting after all.
Anyway, the idea is to sell everything on Amazon and then have a club on the website, because I don't want to just make individual sales. But basically, people that are in the club will get every product that we sell shipped to them. I don't want to say for free, but basically for free, but you're paying for the club. So it's not really free.
This sounds a lot like a scam.
It's totally not a scam. And how's it a scam? How does that even sound like? It doesn't sound at all like a scam.
It sounds like the guy that used to be on late night TV, Don LePray. Hey, everybody, you want to make money in your mailbox? Just send $14.95 to me, and I'll let you know the secret.
Yeah. Well, did you ever do that?
Yeah, he sent you a piece of paper that said, do what I did.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I'm not trying to sell a how to make money product. I'm selling a product to save your ass.
Boy, what about the rest of me?
Nope. That's the only piece that we save. Somebody else have to sell your products to save all the other pieces.
I think
just lead-lined underpants. That's all we sell.
So you're basically buying Depend and then
putting some lead paint on Depend undergarments.
Yes. This is the best deal ever.
That's the way to do it.
Hey,
but
got rich on
it's a secret formula, so I can't talk about it.
Right. But people got rich on the pet rock. So there's any possibility that something will take off.
I don't think you're a dog person, but people that have dogs, they have these little bags they carry, and there's a brand called Ooper Scooper.
Well, yeah, you have to. Well, if you're not a dick, you have to take care of them.
Which became a huge brand getting contracts with cities and parks and stuff. That was invented by my neighbor back in the 80s when the guy got laid off and he was unemployed for a while. So he had, time to think about ideas. And what he realized is that every time he walked the dog, he'd use like a store plastic bag to scoop up the dog's shit. And he was running out of those and said, I wish there was a product, or somebody should have a product that has, like, it doesn't need to be too big. It just needs to be big enough to be like double the size of dog shit. So I can scoop it up and then tie it off into a little bundle so it doesn't stink, put it in my pocket, and then throw it away when I walk by a garbage can. And so he came up with that. And I remember in the 80s seeing a big truck from China show up at his house and unload all the product.
Nice.
And so, he was warehousing them at first, and then 2 years later moved into $1 million house. And then, the rest of the story was a success. But
yeah, you never know.
It's amazing what kind of little stupid, crazy little shit.
Oh, yeah.
Seems to work. Like, maybe it's worthwhile to start manufacturing concert tickets in China and selling them on eBay.
It probably is. And I've thought about exactly that, because there are companies that are doing this that are selling them as, reproductions or whatnot, but they bought, the machines that Ticketmaster, Ticketron used to use, just getting new stock printed up, and then they're doing vanity tickets, which I was, I guess on eBay, this is weird, because I would just go through and I look at these things, and there's a Michael Jordan, allegedly unused ticket from the first spring training game he played. And my dad had, because he saved them all when we went down to see, we had the ticket stub. So I'm always doing research on this. And I guess just visiting a eBay page now, eBay tracks that and allows the people that are selling the shit to send you an offer like, hey, I'll sell it to you cheaper than it's listed. So
they started doing that years ago. I remember that when I used eBay.
This is like the first time that's happened. I was like, I thought they did it if you actually followed or subscribed, whatever they call it, watched the item.
Oh, yeah. So you're saying they're doing it not just to watchers? The watchers is what it used to be done for.
I think so, because I didn't watch this ticket, because I looked at it and I went, there's something. I just
don't fucking trust eBay at this point. I think they're slimy.
Oh, I agree. But in this case, on the ticket, was printed as part of the, actual printing that was done on the ticket itself. In the little comment box, or the one little box up top, it says Jordan debut. And it's not like somebody wrote it in. This was printed in the same printing as the ticket was printed in. So when the guy sent me the offer, I'm like, well, one, for an unused ticket, the price you're offering me is great. But I also know that it's not a real ticket that was for that game, because none of them say Jordan debut on it. Because here's the thing. When they were selling the tickets, they didn't fucking know that Michael Jordan was making his debut.
Well, obviously.
Anything could have happened. And then you know what happens if Michael Jordan can't play and people bought tickets that say Jordan debut? They all go, give me my money back. So, you have to be very well-versed before you're buying anything at all, but especially otherwise useless paper that somebody printed something on.
I know that we're really the Seinfeld of podcasts, and our podcasts about nothing,
or everything.
I did want to bring up one thing, which was the $1 billion for Alex Jones for defamation. What do you think of that?
Well, one, Alex Jones doesn't have $1 billion.
Okay, yeah, or does he?
Well, maybe. Okay. I don't. To be fair, I don't know how many boner pills has he sold.
I don't think he does. He sells about. He doesn't anymore. At the peak, they were selling 86 million a year.
Damn, that's pretty nice. You may want to consult with him about angryrussianprepper.com. He may let you know. I think we're getting to the point where free speech is dead. I think that when you try to go after somebody for crazy things they say, it is a very dangerous, slippery slope. The case could have been made 20 years ago about going against somebody that's a broadcaster or somebody that's in the news. Today, everybody is a broadcaster.
Yeah.
So it is, it's nearly impossible to believe that for any crazy shit somebody says that you can go and sue them. But this is the cancel culture we live in. Maybe you saw the other day during a football game, I think it was Troy Aikman that made the comment, hey, we just need to take the dresses off and, really get down to fix, basically saying the guys need to man up. But that was the term he used was, take the dresses off. And people are calling for him to be fired. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
This is just how people talk.
Him and Jimmy the Greek, they both need to be fired.
Jimmy the Greek's dead.
And that goddamn hockey coach guy, too. Or not the coach, the broadcaster. All of these guys need to get fired.
Jimmy the Greek for pointing out a reality.
Mm.
It's like today, though, what Jimmy the Greek said, that wouldn't even be a question. They would be hanging him in the town square.
Oh, yeah. First of all, he's culturally insensitive for calling himself the Greek.
Right. Well, right. Exactly. This is again, though, this is a world where there's a lot of people, or maybe not a lot, but there's a loud minority that wants biological men to compete in women's sports and think that's okay.
Only in NATO, though.
You're true. If I remember correctly, the Jimmy the Greek controversy, he said that just genetically blacks were stronger and faster. And it's like, well, is that incorrect?
That used to be called a compliment, but
yes.
I guess not.
It's like, the concept that we can't point out our differences is absolutely
You know what else? Black people don't get sunburned as much.
Well, I wish I had that ability.
I mean, I have to work at it and sit in the sun for weeks and weeks to get to the point where I don't get burned.
Is that why you keep going to Mexico?
Pretty much.
I'm surprised they keep letting you back in, not to the United States, but to Mexico. I'm pretty sure at some point they're like, no.
Oh, they did make me check my bag on the way back, which kind of pissed me off a little bit.
Oh, they thought maybe that these multiple trips to Mexico have a payload?
Well, no, because I usually travel with like a Leatherman tool.
Oh, you mean like check your bag, not like they were checking your bags.
Well, no, they did both.
Okay.
But after checking my bag, they said I had to check my bag.
Ah.
Yeah. Instead of just carry on. I usually just do a carry on.
Well, that way you're at the hotel in just minutes.
Yeah, pretty much.
You just buy whatever you need when you get there because you are an international man of mystery with a large bank account.
Well, I don't really bring much in terms of clothes to Mexico. I know that you need to.
Just a Speedo, an Adidas tracksuit, and a radiation
you're
suit.
Literally just called it out right there. A Speedo, an Adidas tracksuit, and a radiation suit. What else do you need in Mexico?
No, that's it. Maybe trunks if you want to go in the pool.
Speedo's
really enough.
That's what Speedos are for.
This is why you pay extra for the iced tea. It's the Speedo surcharge.
I don't know, man. Everybody's wearing Speedos at this resort.
But here's the question. Are they people you want to see in Speedos?
There's nobody I want to see in a Speedo. Not even me.
There you go.
But, you gotta do what everybody else is doing now.
When in Rome, as they say.
That's exactly. When in Rome, Mexico, you got to be a Roman Mexican.
When you're in the Rome of Mexico.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But anyway, we talked about this. My story was fully confirmed that I flew to Mexico because somebody looked it up.
Well, this is true because you sat next to Mrs. J. Cutler. Well, the ex-Mrs. J. Cutler, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm surprised you didn't seal that deal. I mean, that's the most disappointing of everybody that's been talking about this. That was... How did Gene didn't even know her first? I'm like, he knew.
I had no idea who the hell this chick is. I've never seen her before. She's, reasonably attractive, I guess, but
probably too old for you now. Isn't she in her 30s? So
she's 35.
See, that's old now.
She's a pretty she's done a good job of minimizing 35. Aging.
Right.
She's a youthful 35, but she's still 35. Yeah.
And there's just certain things you will not allow to move beyond.
Well, I mean, I was, I was like, I talked to her. I'm not going to not talk to somebody because they're 35.
Well, that's very nice of you.
I put her luggage up for her.
Well, you were a gentleman. That was nice.
I always am a gentleman. Yeah.
And if she were to ask you, or a young, attractive female were to ask you what your age is, do you have a stock answer? Because I know it's not the truth.
What my
Your
age is?
Right. Yeah, what your
I usually say I'm younger than your grandfather.
Well, that leaves a pretty wide berth, as they say.
It's still a lie, but
because you may be older than some of their grandfathers. That's true. But they don't.
Yeah,
don't know my grandfather.
I've totally dated chicks whose like mothers were still quite a bit younger than me.
And you wonder why people are not donating hard to Unrelenting.
Not really. I mean, I keep telling them not to, so they're actually doing what I tell them.
We've set a minimum.
Yeah.
New minimum.
Yeah, and
donation.
I think that's a reasonable. And I mean, look, $1,000 is a pretty high minimum, but realistically speaking, it's like, dude, $10 or don't bother.
I understand that is why and this is a conversation that's been had with.
What are you going to buy the kielbasa house if you get less than $10?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Not these days. You get like one kolache for $10.
The concept has been talked about a lot with every podcaster that I've ever heard that is part of the Podcasting 2.0 movement, which I think is a great thing and moving in the right direction, and go to newpodcastapps.com. But with that said, even the creators, Adam Curry and Dave Jones, have talked about the fact that people will do something like sending in a boost of 333, and that seems like a lot. And then you're like, well, that's like 5 cents.
It is literally 5 cents. Yeah.
So that is the mindset that is still kind of an issue when it comes to that, because almost everybody I know, Bemrose over on Grumpy Old Ben's, Larry doesn't mind. Larry's easy. Larry's like, read anything that comes in. It's good content. But I understand your point of view and Bemrose's point of view, which is...
fuck that shit. There's a lot of work and money spent. I spend hundreds of dollars a year on shit. It's almost $100 a month, frankly, on all the stuff that goes into doing podcasts. And you spend more than that because you do 10 times as many podcasts.
The hardest working man in podcasting.
The idea of using that platform that you worked so hard and spent money on building to run an ad for somebody on that platform, literally for 5 cents, is bullshit.
Now, don't get me wrong. Anybody that just wants to stream some sats that are worth $1 an episode and not ask for anything in return, that I love.
Oh, yeah. Free money is free money. If somebody just feels good about donating, they have no expectation of anybody mentioning their website where they're doing cooking or anything.
Just
that's fine.
The show, right?
But if you're doing it in order to promote something and you want a particular website or email or anything else read out, I think it's just silly for people to do it for sats. Do it for real money, or the sat equivalent of $10 or more.
Right. Send in that 100th. Oh, that's when I go and I don't do it every episode, but when I'm going.
Well, let's do the math while we're talking. You keep talking. I'm going to look up the current value of a sat.
Right. Well, this is why when I do my donations, and it's not every episode, but when I'm listening to the Podcasting 2.0 show live, which comes up live on the stream right after we do here on Fridays, I can't go any less than 100,000 sats. I don't feel right being less than 100,000, which I think is about $20 now. Maybe you're right around there.
So one Satoshi,
yes,
is worth right now 0.0192 cents. So 10 Satoshis is going to get you just over a cent, over 1 cent.
And what's 100,000 Satoshis?
100 million Satoshis is 1 Bitcoin.
Yay. But what 100,000 Satoshis?
Well, that would be 1/100th of a Bitcoin. Dude, that's easy math.
Which is currently what?
26,000 or something? So it'd be 2,600.
No, not for 100,000 Satoshis.
No. For 10 million Satoshis. So for 100,000, it'd be 1,000th of 26,000. So it'd be $26.
See, there we go. And that's about right where I feel like that's where I'd want to be.
$26?
Yeah, for a donation to a show that
there you
I'm
go.
listening to.
Perfect. Like, I would round it down 25, but yeah.
Well, I just go, it's 100,000. I'm in the Satoshi market.
100,000 Satoshi. See, that's a good pot. Let's just make that across all your shows. Just say, don't donate anything less than 100,000 Satoshis.
Come on in. The weather is fine. We do have to thank our buddy Josh Mandel, though. He is our one and only executive producer for today's show, who came in with $12.34. Just says, keep it up,
there
dudes.
You go.
Keep it up, dudes.
That's like 1 million Satoshis right there.
12, a little less, but 12.34 is good. That's real money.
No, it is. It is 50,000 Satoshis, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's exactly right.
There you go. There's a good marker for you. So if people are sending less than 50,000 Satoshis, you're not going to get mentioned.
Which sounds exactly right. Which is why No Agenda, I know, they're a little bit of a bigger show, but that 50 and under for not getting mentioned, $50, we're still
$50 and under.
Dirt cheap.
Well, sure.
We're a better bargain with no audience, though.
Well, I don't know about that either, but we'll see.
You're not selling us, Gene.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm definitely not selling us. One thing I've noticed is it is not easy trying to convert all the people that clicked on follow me on No Agenda Social to actually download the goddamn podcast.
Well, that's a good point, too.
Because there's way more people that follow me than that download the podcast.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of people downloading podcasts that aren't even on No Agenda Social. So, come on, No Agenda Social people. Start downloading.
Even if you're not listening, just download. We'll feel better.
I don't care if you're listening or not. Just make me feel like it's growing. That's all I care about. I just want to see the downloads.
I haven't looked at the stats on these shows.
I download plenty of podcasts that I don't listen to.
See, you're the guy screwing with the statistics.
Like I download all of yours. You think I listen to them?
No.
Hell no.
But if everybody would just go to unrelenting.show and subscribe, and we should really come up with some unrelenting swag. And if I see people, if you do a review of this show, don't do a review of somebody else's show.
Oh, you could do it of one of mine or any of yours. I mean, I don't care because it's all in the same ecosystem. If somebody is listening to Sir Gene Speaks, within a few episodes, they're going to go, who's this other guy he keeps talking about?
Right. Well, you talk about me a lot. Do I need to listen?
I talk about you every single episode.
Well, that's
and I refer to you as the other guy that's my co-host.
Well, see, that works. That way you never forget. You're like, this is also why you call women like babe, so you don't accidentally have to remember their name.
Exactly.
So it's just babe. No.
Sweetheart. Come on.
But we're going to get some swag, an unrelenting, maybe t-shirt.
We could totally do swag. You can put a little collage art stuff in there or something.
Yes, we have something to give away, people that promote the show. If we see it promoting the show on social media, if we see leaving a review, especially leaving the review. And I know.
Yeah. Now, technically, we can't pay them for paid reviews, but we can definitely recognize people that are spreading the good word.
Yes. And while Apple fucking sucks, it is an important place if you do use the Apple iPod thing, then reviewing
now,
on Apple is good.
Let me ask you, because I genuinely don't know. Have you submitted this show to everything or just select catalogs?
I believe we're on everything. I mean, besides the ones that are like paid, not necessarily on like the Spotify's, but
that's what I mean. Because like Sir Gene, I purposefully did not submit to Spotify. I don't want those fuckers anywhere near me.
Yeah.
So you can't get Sir Gene Speaks on Spotify. Fuck them.
Go to newpodcastapps.com and find a good podcast app.
Yeah, and there's a shit ton of good ones out there.
Oh, dude, and the amount of things that are being added and improved over the last year is awesome.
It's time for me to do another series. As soon as we get Just a Good Old Boys actually up and running, and I can separate out Sir Gene from the podcast I do with Ben,
how do you
I'm going to go back
the Gene from the boys?
Well, yeah. But I'm going to go and do a refresher, a set of interviews with all the Podcasting 2.0 guys. Because I really enjoyed doing that last year or 2 years ago. It's been 2 years, I think, since I did it. Or a year and a half, something like that.
Over here, if you think that would work. So I think that could be fun.
Well, but the advantage I have in just doing them, so I know you want another podcast to do, but the advantage I like doing them is that I can give everybody basically like an hour just to talk, and I go into my NPR mode to where my only contribution is like, asking 5-word questions. That's about it. So it really kind of opens it up for them to provide insight into what they're doing, what they're excited about, what kind of issues they're having, if they are having issues, and what they see on the horizon. I'm very curious about that. It's cool stuff, and not everybody, like the show that Adam does with Dave, while I will occasionally listen to it to kind of stay in, on track of what they're talking about, I think there's very few non-podcasters that are going to listen to that show.
Why do you feel that way?
Mostly because it's very much inside baseball.
And do you think that'll change?
Probably not.
Do you think it should change?
Well, it's a show with a specific topic that they've defined way back when. So I don't know. I don't think it should.
Well, they're not the Seinfeld of podcasting.
No, they have a very niche kind of a specific thing to work on. I think in a lot of ways it's a replacement for Adam for Daily Source Code.
But less fun.
Less music for sure. Yeah. Or have you started doing music for their show as well now?
No, we should be. There's no time for we are their pre-show. Pretty much.
Well, not anymore. I mean, I talked to Adam and he's like, yeah, we'll be finishing around 4 p.m. today. It's like, what the hell time do you guys start? Apparently.
Last week
they keep pushing it back and back and back.
Yeah, last week they did it at like 5 o'clock or something. And did you not like my muted NPR? I mean, I was just trying to ask short.
No, I was getting it. I wasn't going to point it out because you have to, even if you're a little more muted, you still have to be on, like you have to still hit it. You can't just let too much silence pass.
Right, P, because silence isn't good.
Silence is called dead air for a reason.
Yeah, that's usually...
If you have a radio station with silence, it's usually dead.
People are screaming at that point, we don't want silence. That is not content, which is why there are filters to remove silence.
And I do that on all my podcasts. I know you don't.
No, I do. Not on every one, depending.
No.
As CSB points out, Bemrose and I pretty much talk over each other nonstop, so there's very little chance that there's going to be like more than a quarter second of silence in that show.
Yeah.
But on Unrelenting, now and then I will pull it out because
there's
I know
not
it's a different
as much
style.
here. Yeah. I think I have more silence with the podcast I do with my other hosts. But I typically will shrink the breaks in conversation that are longer than 1 second down to 1 second.
That's exactly what I do. I just put it, for some reason I've got it in there as 999 milliseconds. Mm-hmm. So
yep.
And that sounds, for those of you doing podcasts, again, inside baseball, but that helps.
This is what the pros do.
Yes, you still have that pause that's long enough for people to remember, but it doesn't go on so long that they're like, well, you're just wasting my time now.
1 second is about the longest pause at the end of a sentence that you want to hear. Anything longer than that sounds like the other person is searching for what to say.
Yes, which is why, and I know I do it, you do it. A lot of people, they do the,
No, absolutely. And you don't remove those. I remove all of those. And again, inside baseball stuff. So on the typical episode of Sergine Speaks,
you sound much smarter.
There are about 220 ums removed per episode on average.
Wow, is it like per hour?
2 hours.
Okay, so
about 100 an hour. 100 an hour. Yeah, about more than one a minute.
Which really, you would think normally would drive somebody nuts.
You get used to it. I think if you're hearing somebody for the first time, that stuff jumps out at you a lot more. But if you've heard the person speaking for a while, you start to not notice it as much.
Well, I've noticed that with Bill O'Reilly, because I follow Bill.
Yeah.
When he was on Fox, I watched him enough. There was none of that. When he's on his own program, There's a little bit because it's not scripted, but when he is on with Glenn Beck or Sean Hannity on their radio programming, he does a lot of, it's interesting. But you can tell, it's just how prepared are you, and if you are searching for a word, it's human nature, especially when you're on the radio, because you want the other guy to know I'm still coming up with something to say, but I just don't know what I'm saying yet.
Yeah, and I try to consciously actually turn it into a conversational topic. Like, I don't know if you've noticed this. One thing I've started doing since really doing Sergine Speaks is if I fumble a word, I don't try and like move on past it really fast. I actually will stop, repeat the fumble and say, what the hell was I thinking? Or what the hell am I saying? I can't talk. I'll actually highlight the fact that I just fumbled something, because that's really what you need. Is you need a little bit of time to get your brain back into gear to finish the thought that you were trying to talk about. And an easy way to do that is, instead of rushing, which will keep you off track longer, is to slow down, and kind of making fun of what you just said is a good way to slow down.
Oh, I agree. For the solo shows, that is the way to go. I'm about 50-50 with that.
Well, solo shows, you don't really need to do that, because you can stop and start anytime and re-record the last sentence. So right. Shows with people, you need to do that.
Exactly. But even with the solo show, in this, I was always 100% fix it. And I think it was, maybe a year or so ago, I was listening to the Bandrew Says podcast. Love Bandrew's stuff. Mm-hmm. And he flubbed it and he made it into a joke. And I'm like, this just makes the podcaster, the host, seem more human. It adds a little bit of levity to, a show maybe where you're dealing with some angry topics. And it's like, so I've started leaving a little more of those in and making them the joke and being like, hey, yeah, what did I just say? What word is that? That's not even a word. It's great. It adds to the content.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with doing it. And I think it's good for the person that just flubbed to acknowledge that flub, because then you can move on.
Unlike Biden.
And hopefully make fewer of them.
Right.
Unlike Biden, yeah.
Who said his son died in Iraq. And it's like, okay, I understand. You can give him a little bit of leeway because he believes the cancer that he died from was because of being stationed in Iraq with the, the tar pits. But saying literally that he died in Iraq, that scares me.
And that was the good son
of the free world. Yes. That scares me, though, that the president doesn't know at any given point how his son died.
Yeah. Well, I think if I look at it from the black pill side, the biggest thing that's been proven now with Biden in office is that it really doesn't matter who the president of the United States is.
Do you think if Trump was still in, though, that we have inflation that we have now?
I think things would be better in general, but they sure as hell wouldn't be as good as Trump would like to pretend they would be.
Would Putin have gone into Ukraine? Would that be happening right now?
Probably not.
So we wouldn't have the Putin price hike. I agree that there was a breaking point, because even under Donald Trump, a lot of money was spent with the COVID plans. Yes, there was a lot of that. There was going to have to be some inflation. I don't believe it's anywhere near where it is today, although it would be still hurting people. But I do also believe that we wouldn't have an energy problem. Gas would not have gone up at all.
Right. Yeah, because he would have been making the opposite decisions. Like, if there's any kind of supply restrictions, he'd be signing executive orders to open up new areas of Alaska to drilling,
Right.
Stuff like that.
And the people that want to conserve all of this fuel that otherwise we're not going to need because the technology is going to be there within 10 or 20 years to not need it, it begs the question of, well, then why not use it today? What are you saving it for? You're telling me there's not going to be any rainy day because we're going to have a utopia in 10 or 20 years. We're not going to need fossil fuels. So why not burn?
Well, we're not going to need fossil fuels because the population of the Earth will just be 500,000 people.
Well, that'll happen. That's why you need your Russian suits to keep you safe from the impending. That's another thing that I don't think there's people
you don't think I should be one of those 500,000?
I do. I believe you should repopulate the Earth with.
I think I totally need to not that old.
Now, let me ask you this.
22-year-old women, please.
If Donald Trump was in office right now, are you buying the nuclear preparedness kits?
Well, I don't think you really would need to be spending as much time thinking about nuclear preparedness if there's no war in Ukraine.
Right. I would agree 100%.
There's still some risk with the China factor, right? That with Trump was more pervasive than it is with Biden.
There is, but the Chinese leadership overall is the most capitalist people in the world. I mean, the people that live in the country, no, but the leadership of China, they want the money.
Yeah, I don't know if I would call that capitalist. I would just call that greedy upper class. But yeah, I mean, it is anti-communist for sure. I'm just not sure it's capitalist.
True. I will go along with that.
Yeah,
but I don't think they want to nuke the people that they're trying to.
I don't think so.
Away.
All they want is just to unify with Taiwan. That's all.
That why do we want to be involved in all of this stuff? I mean, I remember the good old days when it was like, America, World Police. That was a great movie.
That was a great movie.
Why do we want to be involved in all of this?
Team America.
Yes, yeah. Team America. Oh, that was a great movie. I need to pull that one out again.
Every time I see the Eiffel Tower topple, it just brings a tear to my eye. I'm so happy.
I think that's going to be one of the next Lego sets is a big Eiffel Tower. That's the
rumor. Oh, really?
Yeah. All with the little, the metallic little Technic things that they have, which would be phenomenal just from an architectural standpoint, not because it's in France.
They should have an Eiffel Tower construction set thing in Legos. That's a geometric shape.
It'd be very cool.
What would you do with it, though? Have a dinosaur stomp on it or something?
Maybe. There was somebody posted on No Agenda Social a video from Adam Savage's Tested with the two guys where they had built the Lego Death Star and the Lego Imperial Star Destroyer and threw the Star Destroyer into the Death Star and watched them all just explode.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, yep. That's
Did
about
they
what
build
they're
the
good
Death
for.
Star with the completely poor planning access path,
right? Of course,
to the core,
so it can blow right up.
Yeah, so it can just blow right up from a single small rocket.
Yeah, we were watching something the other. Oh, it was the Tom Cruise movie. Have you seen Maverick, the latest Top Gun?
I still have not. I've thought about watching it, but it's still like $20 on Amazon. Screw that.
Yeah, you don't want that. Wait till you can watch it free somewhere.
Yeah, it's got to pop somewhere up for free before too long.
But when you're watching it, the thing that'll keep going through your mind is, this is just like Star Wars going to the Death Star. It's exactly the same thing. I mean, literally, it's exactly the same thing. That's all they're training for, is to get the planes to go through a very small little, area that they have to stay underneath so they're not getting shot. And then they have to like go up and then shoot down into this little, I'm like, it is Star Wars. That's what this whole thing is. And it's like half the movie. It's hilarious that if that was not done knowingly, that they were trying to mirror the whole Death Star thing, it was. Okay,
I'm trying to get my Uber Eats back to Austin. It seems to be stuck in Chicago now. God
He's
damn
like,
it.
no. Would you like Polish food in Chicago? Yes, please.
Well, yes. I mean, I don't want any food in Chicago. I want food here in Austin. God damn it.
Chicago. Come get some pierogi.
Maybe I could deliver some pizza from Chicago. That'd be all right.
Yeah, some good Chicago pizza. I like the thin crust, though, not the deep dish. The deep dish is just too filling.
You can get, deep dish is a pie, right? Yeah, it's a pizza pie.
A pizza pie.
And they do have it, but it's not called pizza in Italy. Like when I lived in Italy, you could get what is similar to deep dish pizza but it's not called pizza. I forget what it's called.
Well,
But
their pizza's all thin crust in Italy, right?
But it's not crispy thin crust. It's just like
a doughier kind
regular, doughy.
Like you would
crust.
make in a woodstone oven.
They also don't automatically droop tomato sauce and everything.
Oh no, you can have different types of sauce.
Usually you've got
like the Alfredo
olive oil.
Well,
olive oil is a lot more common.
Yeah, a little olive oil, a little basil, just a little bit of fresh mozzarella.
Yeah.
That's delicious. Put that in a nice big woodstone oven that's pumping out like 1,500 degrees, and it's like 2-3 minutes.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Those freaking ovens are amazing, and they're wood burning. They're not electric.
That is the secret. That, and I mean, unfortunately, the guy turned out to be an upskirt pervert, so the pizza restaurant disappeared. But the place we had here, they had the woodstone oven, and that was so good. Yeah. It was so good.
Yeah. We've got one of those restaurants here, but I don't like the way they make their pizzas.
Well, you should tell them. Show them how to do it right.
I did tell them that. They told me, don't bother coming back.
Was this a contentious argument or was this a polite?
No, not at all. I was just politely trying to tell them that their pizza recipe isn't very good. And I've worked for a number of pizza places over the years, and I have a little bit of experience in this. Like I can still throw a pizza like a professional.
Like a champ. You can throw that up and spin it. Get the right size.
Absolutely. Throw it up, spin it on my fist. Totally.
Nice. So what is for you the perfect pizza? What ingredients are going on this if you're making yourself one?
Oh, I'm going to get hate mail.
So that would be Gene
I generally like, Gene at Surgene.com. I generally like, kind of like my cranberry schnapps, I prefer things that are a little more unusual. Back in the 80s, my favorite pizza was lutefisk pizza.
Now that's like a weird fish, right?
It's a like a marinated fish, marinated cod.
And this is the first time I've ever heard of anybody putting that on pizza.
Right, like I said, a little bit unusual.
Never seen that on the ingredients when I'm perusing.
No, you can't get it at a pizza place. But it was a very, very nice flavor. It's kind of salty, kind of. It's basically fish that you marinate in lye.
Well, it kind of makes sense because I love a thin crust pizza with feta cheese and black olives, which gives you a similar.
Yeah, black olives is good. Yeah,
salty kind of.
A lot of things give you salty.
Yeah.
But lately, for thin crust, what I've enjoyed is a spinach and ham pizza with a white sauce.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the white sauce.
But no, it's just not normal pizza most people would order.
Right. Well, because people think you have to have tomato sauce. And you're absolutely right. White pizza is some of the most delicious stuff I've ever had.
Yeah. If you have pizza that has good dough has enough flavor, and there's enough fat. It's really, what is pizza? It's basically bread with fat.
It's a sandwich.
That's all it is. Yeah. It's bread. Everything's a sandwich.
Right.
It's bread with fat. And now the baking caramelizes the non-fatty carbohydrates. So if you didn't have carbohydrates in there, you wouldn't even need to really bake it. You just eat it raw. Have pizza dough pizza.
That does not sound as good as cookie dough ice cream.
Well, fair enough. But I've eaten my share of raw pizza dough as well, having worked in pizza places.
Why?
And
is it
it tastes good.
I've never thought about trying that.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that because you're eating live yeast.
Yeah, and yeast.
The egg doesn't matter. Whatever. I'm immune to salmonella. I've been that forever.
Wow.
But that's one of my.
If anybody runs
one of my immunities,
that's one of his superpowers.
Yeah, I've got a few things that I'm immune to, or highly resistant to, like THC.
Nice. And Novocaine.
And Novocaine, correct. Yes. And Novocaine, unfortunately, I'm resistant to.
Yeah.
Doesn't work on me.
I go back to the dentist for them to. They were going to get.
Oh, yeah. How's your teeth going? Let's talk about your teeth for the next 3 minutes.
I'm still chomping. If I don't eat very carefully, I am biting my cheek. So the crown's going to have to be adjusted slightly to to stop
They just
that
need
from
to
happening.
round off the edge a little
Yes.
bit so that even if you bite it, it's not going to be that bad.
Right, because like on the other side, I can't even I can't bite the cheek.
Bite the cheek. So when did you ever have braces or not when you were a kid?
Never did.
So I did. And what they did back then in the olden days with braces is because you're adding more crapola to your mouth and you do end up biting your cheek quite a bit, the solution was they gave you wax, and it's like medical grade wax, to just kind of put over the braces in that area that you tend to bite yourself with. And that wax adds even more bulk, but it's rounded, right? It's not going to cut into anything over the braces, and it conditions your cheek to what the quote unquote normal position is of the cheek, so that it doesn't have a tendency to like want to stretch underneath your teeth. And you do that for like 2-3 weeks, and then you don't have to do the wax stuff anymore. Your cheek just stays out of the way.
Well, that's what I was hoping here, but I think it's just slightly off to where it needs the adjustment. And if I chew the food on that side, no problem, because the food's keeping the cheek away. But if you accidentally forget and like go chew on the other side, there's a really good chance on the side with the crown you're getting a nice big.
Now you could go fancy too and just like get little suction cups to put on your cheeks on the outside.
Right, pull it out.
And then tie a string around the back of your head and tie it to the suction cups.
Is this something else the Angry Russian Prepper?
I just invented this. I'm literally inventing it as we speak. This is not a real product. But I could totally see it happening to where it like stretches your cheeks back, and then it gives you more room in your mouth so that you're not biting your cheek.
Yeah. So I'll be happy when that gets taken care of. I mean, it's not that bad where I had to rush in. They're like, well, we can get you in, but it was the other location yesterday. I'm like, I can wait till next week. So going on Tuesday to have that fixed. It just, if anything, it's also a great diet plan. You just eat a little bit less. Because
that's not a bad thing. We could all eat a little bit less.
It's a great diet. Otherwise, you just go buy milkshakes, and then you don't have to worry about chewing at all.
That's not a great diet.
No, that's the opposite. But can you take some Lutefisk and put it into a chocolate shake? Maybe.
Oh, no. Opposite flavors, man. You don't want to go that route. Now, if you use, what is that ice cream that Ben and Jerry's have? Fish?
I don't know.
Fish.
I don't do Ben and Jerry.
Or something.
I know there's a fish for the band, probably, knowing Ben and Jerry. There's a fish, PHISH flavor.
Oh, yeah. I think that's how it's spelled, yeah.
Because they're those hippy-dippy liberals.
They're also not at all connected to the company that makes ice cream anymore. They sold that a long time ago.
Yeah, they're really capitalist pigs.
But they're still very hippy-dippy capitalists. Yeah. Here's the thing. I think this misconception needs to get fixed, that somehow liberals, hippies, Democrats don't like money. They love money because money allows them to tell other people what to do.
Right. They just want your money.
They want everybody's money. Right. Your money, my money, their own money, everybody's money.
They think they should have it.
They can decide what you should be doing.
Exactly. It's all about power.
It is about power. And that is a key thing. And I think the distinction between the conservatives and liberals is mostly around whether it has nothing to do with whether you want to make a lot of money or you're pro money, or everybody's pro money. It has to do with, do you want to decide what you do, or do you want to decide what everybody else does? And the liberals want to decide what everybody else around them is doing, and the conservatives just want to decide what they themselves are doing. That's it. There's a difference.
Makes sense. Is it true Tulsi Gabbard's doing commercials for AngryRussianPrepper.com?
It is. It is true. I didn't think we put that out there yet, but yeah, we're talking to her to sign her on and do some ads for us.
I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
I like Tulsi.
Yeah. I would love to have her do some ads. I'd love to have the wonderful big booty Latina do some ads for me as well.
Oh, AOC. It was her birthday
AOC
the other
would
day.
be
Did you
awesome.
send her something?
Of course. I have that on my calendar.
I said I didn't understand the attraction, Gene, and somebody just pointed out AOC's got boobs. I'm like, that's all it takes. Oh, all right.
She is starting to get a little old, but
communist boobs. But now she's like 30, right? So
yeah, she's kind of getting up there in years. No, I don't know. There's something about her. I just think she's cute. It's called Dead Air for a reason.